lights on if that helps.
Have we had minutes or text or email to us? Is that right?
Yes,
So we have had the minutes.
I'm trying to pull them up together.
There wasn't a whole lot that we did.
I'm still looking for them.
There we go. Well, no, that's just the agenda.
Yeah, all we have is the electric funds, those and all the number.
Last month, we had sent, the recommendation to the,
To the development.
which, that was positive. I'd like to kind of have an idea what we're gonna pass before we pass it.
Yeah, I don't think it was on the email.
Yeah, I just looked.
Where's your right hand man, Mark?
He had, somebody getting married or baptized or something. I can't remember.
Something to go to.
Some funeral? Yeah.
Married. They're all related.
Some family oriented thing that he needed to do.
Is it Micah? Oh, Jim.
Jim is not here.
He sent a,
And where's the mayor?
did you get that email?
Did you get
He
it?
sent a letter
I messed that up.
saying he wouldn't be here.
I messed it up.
You did? It came today, I believe. Yeah, it came about 2 o'clock. Check it out. You got it.
Well, look at the top right
The
there.
agenda.
Yeah.
No, this was an attachment to the email. Yeah, it's not the email.
It's from Jim though.
Yeah.
I don't think I have opened mine.
Yeah, I didn't
Here we go. Let's see.
Well, let's move
Oh,
over
you're right, you're
and
on
we'll come
42.
back to that. Are there any public comments? We'll move on to agenda item 4, the Spring Creek final plats. Do you have anyone here to speak for that?
I'm here, I'll answer any questions that you have.
Okay.
Have you seen this letter that our planner sent out today by chance?
No,
You have not?
I have not.
Okay.
I see. Look at it.
If you want to just glance over it, the last 2 pages are just some
Questions?
dealing with a little more financial security for just maintenance bonds.
Kind of cut to the chase on it if you, and then discuss.
Sir, are you here on behalf of the developer? Is that right? Okay, you're the engineer?
And surveyor.
Okay, you're all in one?
Yes.
One-stop shop?
You get both.
Okay. Well, I think the letter, Jim wasn't able to be here, so I think he took this, was it last Friday he was down here, Mark?
Yes,
Is that
sir.
accurate? He was down last Friday, and I also, some of the stuff in that letter, I responded to him in an email. Did y'all see that Friday, Stacy and Jason?
He just sent that today. The
He just
letter.
sent today the letter.
Yeah.
You got my email from Friday. Yeah.
No, I got your email.
On Friday?
Yeah.
Yeah, I got
Where
that.
the-
I
Well,
did get
He
that.
shot you down.
Yeah,
Yeah, I got that
yeah,
one.
yeah, that's right. But well, Jim's letter covered most everything that we had discussed in an email, which I have a paper copy of. If anybody wants to see it as well. But I think Jim's pretty much discussed everything. I think the biggest.
Well, one thing, and because Mark and I talked, and I have just read his email or his letter once, and had read your email, but we think that this was approved under R3 zoning and preliminary plat, and it's not a PUD.
That's correct.
So, the planner seems to be reviewing it as if this were a PUD development.
Can I ask a question? It's my belief, just from being around Spring Hill and Murray County and other places where I've seen PUDs come before the planning commission. If you have common area, is it not a PUD? Because with an R3 straight zone, you don't have common area. You only have common area in a planned unit development. Is
No,
that-
you can have common area.
You can have common
open
area in
space
any
in a-
development.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the R3 does allow for, I can't remember how much it requires in terms of open space, but part of that open space can be common area as well.
Okay.
Now, having said all that, I haven't looked at the plat in detail to know whether it complies with preliminary plat approval and the R3 zone. And just from reading Jim's letter, and Mark, correct me if you disagree, I mean, it looks like he's looking at it in terms of a PUD. But he certainly doesn't given an opinion as to whether he thinks it complies with the R3 or not. He's asking for some issues to be addressed and to basically defer this to July, which I think may be a good idea, but with the understanding that this is an R3 zone and not a PUD zone, that it needs to be reviewed by.
And you may know this, was the original, it was my understanding that the original concept plan, the master plan of the entire development, the multifamily, single family all together, sharing common area and possibly amenities as well with the pool. In the conceptual stage, I believe it was represented that it was going to be a planned unit development. Is that correct? Or at least it was discussed, because we
Yeah, I don't think
discussed.
we adopted the PUD until
Until
after this was approved at preliminary plat. Now,
Okay.
Mark may,
No, PUD requires your board of mayor and alderman to approve that, plus a public hearing. This was submitted as a preliminary
just a-
plat.
As an R3.
Yeah.
And we passed it, and I was looking to see if I had a digital copy of, but we passed it in August of 2017, that preliminary plat, as an R3 with those, I think 159 single family plus the townhome units. But that's been quite some time ago that we passed that.
Just for clarification, the planned unit development takes exception to your zoning regulations. It's kind of a trade-off. You all get, the community gets something versus violating the R3 or
Setbacks or
whatever.
lot size or something.
Yeah,
Okay.
we did not do that.
Okay.
and in fact, I don't think our PUD regulations were final until sometime last year,
Well,
so
they rezoned it so they could do R3 if I'm not mistaken.
I think it was I think it may have been rezoned for R3.
It was.
Yeah.
And we had to go through also the amendment going from 75 to 65 feet on the width of the lot requirement. That was,
So did we amend it specifically
we amended the R3 zone.
R3 zoning? Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
And then we did, I think, the new large development standards do apply that we put in place. I can't
With the
remember.
sidewalks, the
Right,
underground
yes.
utilities. Yeah.
But I guess maybe to cut to the chase, I mean, my recognition after looking at this, and I'm not playing the role of planner tonight, but is that we defer it to allow Jim to look at it again in light of the R3 zone. And, I mean, if you want to discuss specific issues tonight that you have, we can, but,
What are your specific issues? In light of knowing it's an R3?
Some of the stuff I think on an R3, 2/3 of my comments Friday and Jim's addressed in the letter, I think would apply either way to an R3 or PUD. One thing, the main thing I was more concerned about, from the city's behalf is ensuring, financial security for not only the stuff that's not done, but the stuff that is done, to carry some type of a maintenance bond. And I think we discussed 10% of the value of the water line, 10% of the sewer line.
That's pretty standard.
Yeah,
Across
it's a maintenance bond. And I think Mark had some preliminary discussions with someone, and I don't think,
How long do you keep that?
for 1 year. Have the utilities all been tested and approved?
Yes, all the utilities.
Okay, so it would be 1 year either from when it's approved or from when we approve the plat. And I believe it would be from when we approve and record the plat. It would be a 1-year maintenance bond. And as long as there's no issues or no failures within that 1-year period, then at the end of the year, those don't have to be renewed. It's not a irrevocable letter of credit. It's just pretty much like a builder's warranty for 1 year, but the developer warrants everything for 1 year. So that's some of that on the last page there was just housekeeping items relating to the infrastructure that is already in place, just requiring a maintenance bond. And I think on the consultant that we had calculate the value of the binder and the paving and the curbs, they didn't have any dollar amount on there for your street poles and your street signs and stuff like that. So we had discussed, whatever that value is. It wouldn't be a lot. It'd be a few $1,000s, making sure that's secured as part of the roadway bond as well. And the other items were just general items on the plat, making sure we have, public utility and drainage easements along the side lot lines and the rear lot lines, I think 5 foot wide. Labeling any roadways that are not being bonded for, we had requested they be labeled future road or future right of way, just so it's not ever construed that this,
Continues
this
on.
would continue on without further development being approved. But a lot of it was just housekeeping stuff on the lot, taking lot numbers off of the lots that aren't specifically part of the plat. And I think the biggest concern I had was the financial security, and then just a question on the concept plan we looked at. This 1.697 acre common area was shown on the concept plan to be a swimming pool. Is that still the plan? And if it is, do we need to require something with faith? Do we need to require some type of security for that, or is it just, was that just?
We've done the civil design for a clubhouse and a
Okay.
swimming pool along with additional parking
Okay.
and a small playground, but I don't know if they've submitted it to you or not.
One of the questions that
As far as backing that financially, I guess would be my concern, is if, I think we've all seen in other communities and counties, something, whether it's a golf course, a tennis
Sure, I
course, or a pool, be promised to the homeowners and never materialize. So I think that was, go ahead, Mark.
one of the questions I had, and I guess this would probably be for Todd, is how much of this would have to be addressed or need to be addressed in the HOA as far as the maintenance of these facilities and all that stuff? Because I know it's been a long time since we saw a proposed HOA, but there's never been a final HOA that has come through here. So we've kind of been working off of what the proposed HOA had said a long time ago, which addresses a lot of these things. But since we don't have an approved HOA, what would need to be approved as a part of the final plat versus in the HOA?
well, two issues. One, as far as when you have in this type of development where the HOA is going to be responsible for maintenance of common area, typically what the municipality will do is require them to prove that the HOA has been created, that there is an entity in there that will have ownership of that, and that there's language in the covenants that provide that the HOA is responsible for that space. Now, the amenities issue is another issue, and that's more difficult because you do see that where governments try to get into holding money or requiring that private amenities as opposed to public infrastructure be built. And frankly, I just don't think it's something that we have in our regulations that we can require, for example, a developer to post a bond to build a swimming pool that's not going to be a public pool. So that ends up being just a contractual relationship between the people that are buying lots out there and the developer.
So how do we,
Whether we can get water.
well, so how would we as the city or the planning commission protect the future homeowners to make sure they get what they've been promised?
Yeah, so what they get is that lot and whatever's in their covenants and restrictions that say that their contributions are going to be used to build those facilities. And, you know, the way it typically works is it's tougher to sell those lots until you build that amenity. But as far as the town getting in the middle and holding money or requiring the developer to put up money to guarantee that that gets built, it's just not something that our regulations will allow us to do. But even if it could, we probably wouldn't want to do that. In multi-phase development, sometimes you can add language in there to say, okay, we won't approve future phases until required amenities are installed.
That's done all the time.
Yeah.
Would that be the best way to handle it? Just not allow the master plan to get beyond 75% until,
I mean,
what?
I've seen it as low as 50%. So, I
Okay,
mean, you know, you're certainly, I don't know what your regulations say about something like that,
I
but
don't think they
it's,
do. That's
it's
that's the
done
issue.
all the time.
Yeah.
So,
would your client be open to that if we didn't require any financial security for the amenities?
well, I don't
Sometime
know a
with it.
developer today that would want to.
Would balk at that?
Yeah, I
Okay.
mean, like I said, we've already done the plans for it. I know the pool plans are done. I just don't know where the financing is for those amenities.
So with that being said, if this is something, just to be in compliance with the concept plan that we had, do we have the right to either request or require that be shown on the plat as future pool area, or is that?
We can require that amenity. The thing about it is, I'd have to look back at our R3 zone to see if it requires certain developments to have an amenity. Typically, the way it's structured is, large developments, whether over 100 units, are required to have one amenity. And if they're larger than that, they might be required to have 2 amenities, and they have to show them on the plats conceptually, and then as they're submitted. And then you can say, you've got to install your one. You're over 100. You've got to install your one amenity now before you can get approval to build any more lots. I've got to make sure we've got that in our regs, and I can do that between now and, if we defer between now and next month.
And if we don't, it could be handled in just a developer's contract with the city that he would voluntarily be willing to agree to that.
Yeah, I mean, I
Would
don't
that
know
be
how
a requirement,
enforceable
or-
we would, if it's not in our regs, I don't know how we would enforce that, but again, we've got the open space there. We could add it to the regs for future development, but making the developer put it in there now might be difficult. But it sounds like that's the
Yeah.
plan anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know anything that would delay that. I mean,
So more or less, I think the consensus of our planner, which in error, he was looking at it as a PUD, but 90% of his comments, I think, would still apply with the R3 zone or a planned unit development. I think the best thing to do is to defer or table the plat till our July meeting. and just revisit it at that time. Are we still in compliance with our 60 days from submittal of the plat? I think.
This
or-
wasn't on the agenda. I was gonna look at the minutes, but it's not, this is the first time this has come back up since it was denied, I think, so
Okay.
we should be good.
So we're fine on our number of days from the time they submitted the plat to our July meeting. And I think in between then, we could set up, a meeting or a workshop or something to discuss any of these things with yourself and your
What
clients.
did you think about the 50 to 60, 75% before that it's got to be built before you approve it? I mean, I think that's the easiest and best way to
I
take
think
the city out of it.
50%, 75%. I think 50% is going to get it there quicker than 75, of course. But I think 50% would be fair. And if it's not in our regs, maybe it's something the developer would do voluntarily in a contract with the city that is a good faith measure that's what his intent is.
As long as they're selling houses, they'll be very
Yes, sir.
cooperative,
Yeah.
so.
Yes, sir.
Well, I would just like for us to have everything ready for the time we come back to the table in
And-
July, so whatever,
Have they submitted the homeowner's documents?
No.
All that we've got is a proposed document that was given to us back in 2017.
And it was a different owner at that time as well.
So the answer is no.
Correct. Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. So and that's one.
Well, in the meantime, I'll try to get those so we can do this all at once. That, to me, it makes sense anyway.
And it would-
They record the plat with open space without those documents being recorded with them, so.
And if we need to have a workshop or something during the day, I think I'd be available as long as I had a little advance notice. I think Jason and Stacy and Marion probably could be as well.
But I'll keep in touch with
Okay.
Mark, but I'll get them to send those in. And, I'll find out the status of the pool.
And you've got more experience in this than I think anybody on this board. But the other concern we had as far as financial security, where the HOA ultimately is going to be responsible for the maintenance of the retention areas and the drainage and whatnot. How do we as a city government require a bond that we don't know when it's going to expire? Is that just something that until
Most
the
of them
subdivision-
don't bond those facilities because
Okay.
they're built during the excavation phase. What they do get is a maintenance agreement
Okay, so just like
between the homeowners association
and the city,
and the city.
so that it don't wind up with trees that big around in
Yeah,
10
I
years
mean-
and it fails to work.
Both parties are supposed to do something. The city's supposed to inspect it periodically, every 2-3 years, 4
And
years,
then
5
just
years.
notify the homeowners
Yeah.
association. Okay.
And the homeowners association is supposed to maintain it. It's a pretty simple agreement.
So would that be just a contract with the homeowners association would be okay?
Yeah, and I think typically you would have like a 1-year maintenance bond, just like with everything else.
Sure.
Just make sure
Make sure there's no failures.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
But, yeah, those always, you put the maintenance agreement in effect, but
Well, where the detention pond is now is just temporary. So
The one straight in from the main entrance? It looked
No,
like it-
not that one.
Yeah, I was gonna say that one.
Those in the townhomes will stay permanent. The ones in the residential development, it affects the phase 1 of the plat.
Yeah, they were just for your suite,
That's,
right?
yeah,
they
it's
were just for your.
temporary. That one's
your
gonna
stormwater
move to a
control,
permanent location once
Which
they
is-
start phase 2.
yeah.
So,
Which is back in here.
Back in the
somewhere.
back, that's
Straight back
correct.
from.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, I saw that. It looked like it was permanent. The big one back there.
yeah.
all right, so you make a motion to.
I would make a motion that we defer this to our July meeting.
I have a motion to defer. Do I have a second? We have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Thank you.
Can I have this?
Yes.
Or do you want to just
No, it's
send me a
saved.
copy?
It's on my email, so you can have it.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
Now
And
we'll-
should I give a copy of my email that I sent to Jen? Here's some of the information on there
Okay.
came from this email that I responded back. It's-
Lord, you got more time than I
And this is the first subdivision of this magnitude that we've dealt with in the city. So,
We're learning.
So some of it may be repetitious, and I think you can help us with some of it. I mean,
That's
we're not-
fine, I'd be glad
you
to.
know,
I mean,
we're just trying to figure out what the norm is and make sure the city's protected in the event that, you know, something don't materialize the way it should.
Very good, y'all have a good evening.
All right,
Thank
see you later.
Item 4B, Robinson subdivision.
That's the smaller plat right there. And this is what come up in our Bowman meeting, that was discussed about, we had voted on the first reading of a moratorium on division of land, but it was discussed that it's not in effect until after our second reading, so as of right now, that rule is not in effect, so it allows the planning commission to consider this subdivision.
And Mark, you'll know the answer to this. Water and sewer are both available.
Yes.
I mean, and I think David, you spoke at that on the Alderman meeting. The water and sewer are both available, no issues as far as the infrastructure being in place.
That's correct.
Okay.
What are we doing about, and I'm not sure exactly where those are, but I know there's been some water standing down in that area, so do we have any? It crosses the roads and,
Yeah, this is hearsay, but there's a culvert they got covered up. My excavating contractor told me that the owner that I bought this from admitted to smashing it in on both ends and covering it up because he owned both sides of the road. I dealt with him, buying this property, so I don't doubt it. But that's, so I have located that culvert with a metal detector. I hadn't fixed it. Typically when that happens, so when I fix it, it's gonna put water on him. Now there was water on that side, and I don't know. I don't know what to do about that.
Defer to the attorney on this one.
Can you make sure your homes themselves
Well,
are elevated higher than the road?
okay, so my lots are probably in the best position of any of those.
okay.
Okay.
My houses will not be in water.
Okay.
There may be some areas in the front yard.
But the house itself, you're gonna make sure the finished
Right.
floor of the house is well above the road. So
Right.
if water went over the road, it's not gonna be in the floor of the house.
Right. There is a culvert there though that's smashed on both ends, and that was the old solution. Now the new solution, I don't know.
If it was already there and he opens it back up like it was supposed to be, then
Then it's gonna do what it did for years.
I'll defer. Y'all know better than me what it's gonna do.
So if it builds up enough, it will go over the road.
Without-
With the culvert smashed.
Yeah, the culvert will.
When the
get there
culvert's
quick.
opened, so it's gonna end up at the same place no matter what, except the way he did it's gonna go over the road. But now it's gonna hold in my yard to a certain point, and then it's gonna go over the road,
or
which
under the road to his.
takes a lot more rain than if the culvert's there and it's flowing instantly.
Right.
Well, I'm way down from his new yard. It's his farm. It's 30 acres or so there. I'm way down from his elevation of his new house.
If
I can't get it there.
If you can locate the pipe and it's just smashed in, do you have a problem bending it back up?
No.
Or saw cutting it off?
I can, we take like
As long as
10
it's
ton
in the
ball
city right away,
jacks
you can do
and
the same thing.
jack them up.
Yeah, because they get crushed all the time anyway.
What about on the other side of the road?
It's in the city right away, it should be.
Are you gonna open up both sides, or the city gonna
Does he
open up
have
the other side?
right- Does he have the right to open the other side?
I think he
Well,
does if it's on the
On
city
the
right
other,
away.
on the other side, well, I don't know that he does, that the city does, but just looking at this, I mean, it looks like the lots on his lots are 25 feet from the center line, and so I don't know
other side of the road is probably 15 from the center line, if I had to guess. Years ago, most of the city right-of-ways were 30 foot, and new plats, they go to 25, so it may wind up being
And is the sewer and the water line under the roadway?
they're
Is it
probably
off
on the edge. I think they're on the
They're
edge.
on the edge.
Because your asphalt don't come all the way to his front lot line, it's probably 12 foot. Your front lot line's what, 12 foot from the asphalt?
The water
Probably, yeah.
water line's off a little bit, that field across the road actually.
Okay.
And then the sewer line's right along the edge of the street on the
Well,
subdivision side.
I mean, I think the short answer is, I mean, if this is an area where we've had drainage issues, that as a condition of this plat approval, you could require him to take steps to open up the drainage on his side, if that's the benefit, to the if that'll help solve the problem.
But that doesn't do any good if the city doesn't open up the other side of the
Now,
road.
the city will know where it's at and be able to open it up, I would assume, or cut it off.
I had no idea it was there.
And yeah, so I mean, I don't think you have
I mean, I don't
to
want to
do
put it on him to go open up the other
I
side.
hadn't found, I technically hadn't found it. My excavating guy thinks he knows where it is, and he found a piece and texted me and said, "This is it." When I went out there and looked at it, it was a piece of loose culvert that somebody had cut, and so I'm probably gonna have to actually take a metal detector and find it. And it's all hearsay; it could possibly not even be there. He said he was doing some work for him. He's not the one that done it, but he said he heard the guy, he knew it was there. He heard the guy say, I'm trapped in that water across the road. Now, it was his property at the time, both sides. I don't really know why he wanted to do that, trap it on his most valuable property instead of letting it flow, but he did. According to them, they did. And so I was going to take a metal detector and find it, and if I found it. But if not, the houses are in good shape. It could potentially hold some water in the front yard temporarily. It's going to be minor compared to, I think, some of the other calls y'all get.
Well, and I mean, the big issue is you can't do anything that's going to put more water on somebody else than what the natural flow would put on them.
Right.
I mean, I think but from the town's perspective, if there's something there that causes a problem for the road or for somebody else, then we can address it. But
My concern would be what Isaac brought up earlier, is to make sure that if they're built on a slab or that it's built above the
Yes,
level of the road,
yeah.
so that if the water gets up to the
Yeah.
road, it'll go over the road and then just protect the house would be
Yeah,
my
so being-
concern.
That's not going to be a problem.
Yeah, so being a pre-existing issue, I would say that as a good faith measure, if you can find the culvert pipe, open your side up, let the city deal with their side or decide what to do with it. And as a condition of disapproval, and it'll be recorded in the minutes, I would recommend that the footprint of your homes and the first 10 feet out from the home and all four directions be elevated as, at a minimum, to be as high as the road or maybe even a foot higher.
Yeah,
Is
that's
that-
not gonna be a problem.
Would that be okay with you?
Oh, yeah.
As a condition of the approval? That way, if somebody's got a pond of water in their yard,
Yeah.
it's less of an issue than if they got water under their house.
That's right.
So-
Yeah.
Say I have a motion to approve.
I have a motion to approve, with the condition that it goes in the minutes, that the developer voluntarily will ensure that the home itself and 10 foot, and the dirt 10 foot around the home at a minimum would be a foot higher than the road. Is that okay, David?
Yeah, that's not going to be a problem at all.
Okay, I have a motion to approve with all those stipulations.
I second
Do I
it.
have a second? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Any other business?
Thank y'all.
I would like to throw something out there really quick, for y'all to consider, as a result of
You want me
You
to
know-
just leave them when you get back? Yeah, you don't want them all signed.
the need for us to communicate more and more and more,
Who
you
else
know.
needs to sign the subject?
The city.
Oh.
I'll
The
get
city for
the
water and sewer.
Sign them and I can pick them up tomorrow.
Those need to be signed.
us needing to communicate more and more on some of these issues. I've talked to Todd before the meeting about the potential of setting up an internet forum that would be legal for us to communicate and ask questions and all that good stuff, so we don't have to worry about.
Instead of private emails.
Yeah. Well, I mean, my email is not even private. Anybody can request. It's open record,
Sure,
but
sure.
still, it doesn't. I believe that there's a way that we can set up a forum to communicate without violating the Sunshine Law in any way. And I'd like to do that because I feel like there's more and more need for us to communicate on a regular basis rather than try to get so much information in such a short time.
But it would be something that the public could view but not chime in on.
Correct.
Okay.
That's what I'm thinking. And I'd try to set it up through our website and it'd just be listed as Planning Commission Forum, and anybody, all the members could get on there and post comments and questions. So if everybody's in agreement with that, I'd like to get permission to pursue that.
I think that's a good idea.
Consensus, just no vote, just a
Okay.
consensus.
And I have to look into it, but I still think, because the way the public, the Sunshine Law is, I still don't think that commissioners can deliberate and discuss a vote through the form. I think you can ask questions, and get
Comments and questions,
information
sure.
and that sort of thing, and all that can be there.
And a recommendation, but not.
How you gonna vote?
Right. Well, and even like, well, I don't think we can approve this, whatever. I think it's all.
Discussion.
But I need to look at it more because I've never done a forum like this before, so we'll make sure we do it right.
Can we turn off, okay, we take a motion, we've got a motion to adjourn, or did we do that?
We haven't done that one yet.